Thank you for joining us. Today we have got Diane Schnupp, who is the CIO of Kinsale Insurance, and we are delighted to be chatting with you today. So Diane, tell us a little bit about Kinsale and your role there.
Okay, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. So Kinsale is a specialty lines excess and surplus insurer in property and casualty space. And what excess lines is high risk. We place high risk insurance in property, casualty, and specialty space. We tend to work mostly with small and medium-sized businesses. And we have a lot of flexibility with what we can offer in terms of terms, coverages, risks. So very risk focused organization, which is interesting given my background. And we sell, we sell through brokers. So we have a network of selected specialty brokers.
Okay, so what is high risk? Does that mean that something's more likely to happen, or it's an economic risk, or what is that?
It's so in property and casualty insurance, there's the admitted market, and so that's the kind of the regulated standard insurance market. And so by law, a company or an individual, we're more commercial, but a company needs to go through the admitted market. But if the admitted market won't accept the risk, then they go to the surplus lines market. So it can be for a number of reasons. It can be someone has got a high loss history and the admitted market doesn't want them. It can be that it's a new business. So cannabis, as an example, it's a new business and people don't know how to insure that risk, and they're not willing to take that risk. That tends to, a lot of that market tends to start with an excess and surplus lines insurer.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I had no idea. I just don't know. So before we kind of launch into all the questions, how are you and your family doing with all this insanity that we're dealing with?
So, it's kind of sad. I don't think my life has changed all that much.
That's great.
That's how boring I am, I guess. And I think largely, I read somewhere recently that we're all in the same storm, but we all are in different boats, or
Yeah, that's all I do.
Yeah, I think that's so true. So I think for us, it's really been, we maybe have been inconvenienced, but there hasn't been really any huge impact. I think our social lives have gotten very narrow and tend to be a lot more video calls or whatever. But largely we're doing great. I just worry about like my parents and my mother-in-law, like that kind of thing. So we're just kind of trying to do our part to flatten the curve.
Right. And you're still working from the office, yes?
I am partially in the office.
Okay.
So I'm in the office today. You can see my beautiful office background through Microsoft Teams. I'm here, generally here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm splitting time with one of the directors on my team because I still have people that need to be here. So my infrastructure team, but they're on a rotation too. So I don't have anybody that has to be here every day. But like, there's only 3 people on our help desk, so they're here every third day, and I want them to feel supported, and that I would not ask them to do something that I wouldn't do. So, so I'm on a rotation as well.
Sure, got it. So what has the impact of the pandemic been to your industry, kind of in general?
So it's interesting. There's been a lot that's been written about the impact on the property and casualty industry, and it really differs. I can't really talk about that. I don't really know a lot about the effect on the industry, and I think it really is varied. For our company, we don't write a lot of the business that's really been impacted. So we don't do a lot of event cancellation. We don't do a lot of workers' comp, that type of business. The business that we write, we're very heterogeneous, so we're not highly exposed in any one particular area. We do some commercial property, premises liability, some types of insurance like that are impacted, but it's a small portion of our book. I mean, most of our policyholders are still operating. We don't do movie theaters or restaurants or that kind of thing. We might do some, but we don't do much. So Kinsale is holding strong. the industry, it just depends. If you do write a lot of,
Right.
like event cancellation or business interruption, it would have a lot more dramatic impact.
Certainly, yeah. So we are, I think, 9 weeks into the stay-at-home order in Virginia. I don't even know what day of the week it is, quite honestly. That's where I'm at.
Oh, no.
But so as an organization, have you sent most of your employees home, or have employees kind of been working in the office? I mean, we've talked about IT, but overall, what's that looking like, and how have they adjusted?
So it's interesting. We were a company that this is not statistically sound, but but I've been joking that we were at 0.1% remote work
Sure.
before this happened, and now we're 95%. So it was a big and dramatic adjustment for our organization. I think it's gone really well. My team, my infrastructure team in particular, was very attuned to what was coming and watching what was happening in China, and started raising the issue, relatively early, to say, hey, we need to be prepared. But even with that, it happened much faster than what we anticipated. And so we went from the 0.1% to a really slow trickle to 30% on a Friday, largely because we asked for teams to work from home to test it and see what worked well and what didn't, to 80% that Monday. So it was fast and furious. And it was rocky, but I think people were but expected it to be. I think people appreciated having the opportunity to go home, and did what they needed to do to make it work. So that was helpful. But yeah, it was crazy. Now I think we're in a new normal, a new steady state, and the organization all the way around has reacted really positively to it. Our productivity has gone up, actually, and we had a number of submissions for new business, and that we're kind of backlogged because business was crazy, and underwriters went home and just plowed through it, got it done. So the reaction has been great.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, we hear of organizations that are still struggling a little bit, although I think a lot of people have worked it out now, because kind of if you haven't, you have a real problem.
Right.
But I tell people that, as IT professionals, we were all sort of used to working from home, because it's not, server goes down in the middle of the night. You don't get to just say, oh, well, I'm not going to deal with that until I get in the morning. It just doesn't work that way. So we were all sort of wired that way. But, departments that normally had never, accounting departments and legal departments that just really have never had to do that. It was so disruptive for so many people, but it seems like everybody's sort of worked through it, and we're in our new normal. That's what we're calling it. I can't wait to see what next week's new normal is, because every week the new normal is a different new normal.
Well, like you said earlier, we've seen people start to trickle back in just because they're tired of being in their house all the time. So we've had a few people that have gone home for a couple weeks, and then they've come back.
Yeah. I was just telling someone today that my first day back, I'm wearing my pajamas. I'm going to have to ease back into this.
That's right. And change everything all at once.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I can't take it. So if you had a crystal ball and a year ago could have envisioned this craziness that we're in now, what would you have done differently?
So our biggest challenge was employee education, just because everybody came into the office to work every day, and that's what we did. So, we had VPN, we had, different tools, but nobody necessarily knew how to use them. And so I would have done more, testing.
Right.
Maybe we've even talked about doing this on a quarterly basis, not necessarily having everybody work from home on a quarterly basis, but even rotating through so that people know how to do it. That was hard with the 3 help desk people we have, to try to manage that influx of people asking for help for things that could have very easily been set up in advance. So I would have prepared us more from a DR test scenario perspective.
Right. Right. I mean, I think, again, as IT professionals, we do DR tests all the time. This is a whole new level of business continuity testing that I don't think anyone could have, maybe someone could have envisioned it, but it certainly was not me. So.
Right. Like, as much as you've done disaster planning your whole career,
Yeah.
about a pandemic, but it's like not something you really believe would ever happen. So,
Yeah.
and now we are.
And I can even think of all the DR plans and business continuity plans that I've seen, and we've had pandemic response sections around them, but honestly, it was a tick the box.
Right.
It never occurred to me that, and for weeks on end, I mean,
Right.
it's a day, 2 days a week, 2 weeks, 9 weeks.
Right. Right.
I mean,
It's crazy.
Yes. Way. Yeah. So is there any particular technology that has been sort of life-saving for you in all this?
Absolutely. So we had on our roadmap that we wanted to have a standard collaboration tool in place. So I've only been with Kinsale just slightly under a year. And so when I started, we had, maybe 5 different collaboration tools distributed across the company. And I was like, yeah, we need to really standardize that.
Right.
Well, we're standard now.
Yes, I guess you are.
So we've pushed out Microsoft Teams, and it has been a real game changer for us organizationally. As we can cross department collaboration, and I'm on Teams calls like all day, every day, I feel like.
Yes.
So that has been huge. The other thing that we found that the infrastructure team identified, tested, deployed very quickly was a soft phone. So we have departments within the organization that they don't want to use their mobile phone or their personal phone to make an outbound call. So just having that ability, we had the ability through our phone system to take an inbound call and transfer it to your personal phone, but not to make an outbound call showing a Kinsale phone number. So we found a soft client, got that out, got that ramped up really quickly, and that's helped in very isolated situations, like the specific to the department. That's been really a big differentiator as well.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What are you doing to maintain employee morale in all of this? I know you, so I know you're a lot of fun.
So that's funny. I do this little email communication that I call Friday Fun. And I've been doing it since probably pretty soon after I started to get on just a communication cadence, and so they're sometimes serious, sometimes silly. They've probably been more silly for the last, probably at the beginning of the 9 weeks, it was more, what are we doing to support remote work? And what are we doing to prepare for, whatever it is we're going to need to prepare for? And then it was a lot of like self-care, like making sure people recognize that they need to take care of themselves and the stress of the situation, whether they even realize it. And some of it is, the Zoom fatigue, the being on the calls all the time. And some of it's just silly, like, Dilbert, or I've gone to a format that is now interactive Friday Fun, because we have Teams deployed. And so we'll do the thing that actually I got the idea from Synergy. You guys were working from home and doing fun things and posting on LinkedIn really early. So my coworker, about your pet, my coworker is laying on my keyboard and refuses to meet, like that kind of thing. And we'll do just to try to engage people. I actually used I do a quarterly all IT meeting, and of course it's normally all in person, and there's breakfast, and it's interactive, and we went ahead and did it. There was one scheduled at the beginning of April. We did it through Teams. It was different, but I was able to display a PowerPoint, and there was a bring your own breakfast kind of component. But that worked really well, and just trying to be sensitive. I think it's really hard through video, and especially video with a number of people on it, to kind of try to detect if someone seems down or disengaged or whatever. So I do a lot of just little one-on-one follow-up to say, hey, you didn't seem like yourself today. Is everything okay? What's going on? Is there anything I can do to help? I very much manage by walking around, and it's It's really hard to do that virtually. I have a few people in the office, so I do walk around when I'm here, but I'll see 5 people. So just trying to figure out a way to do that through other tools and channels, and just asking people to reach out to me too, and let me know what's going on. So hopefully it's working. I definitely think that people are getting a little tired of working remotely and a little bit feeling a little disconnected. So just trying to make sure those connections stay in place.
Yeah, one of the things that I started doing, and it was based on an article that I just read maybe 3 days ago, was I think everyone's got COVID-19 fatigue. Like if you ask every day, how are you doing? People are like, I'm still at home. Kind of what's going on. So what I've started doing when I make requests to my staff is saying, if for some reason you can't do this, if there's any reason, just let me know. And that sort of gives them an opening to say, hey, you know what, my kid is, I can't homeschool today. There's something going on or whatever, because I forget, my daughter's in college, your kids are in college. So we don't have the little kids, running around, or, I'm not taking care of elderly parents. I don't have any of that I'm dealing with. So I'm trying to remember, okay, not everybody can sit down and work for 12 hours straight like you can, and they don't want to.
Right. So not necessarily like us.
Yes. Exactly.
I was on a video call with one of my colleagues the other day, and her little boy is 5, and he came up, and they learn really quickly that when mom's on a video call, I can get away with asking for the television or the the iPad or the whatever. And she just looked at me and she said, yeah, he's just really struggling today. And like like you, I was just like, you know what, we don't need to do this today.
Right.
Like let's catch up tomorrow. Let's get through anything that's really timely that you need from me, and then let's reschedule. So
Yep.
I can't imagine being home with toddlers.
No. Yeah.
It's so difficult.
I wasn't good at it even in normal circumstances. So I just can't even
Good point.
now. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that you were willing to take the time and chat with me. And I haven't seen you in so long. It's great.
Always a pleasure to see you.
So thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ro.